Good morning. Welcome to the DFS Army YouTube channel. I am Razzle11, and you can find me on X at Razzle11Grinds. Going to take a look at some pitching for today, the 8th of May. It is Wednesday. We do have a 8-game day slate and 7-game main or evening slate, depending on how you want to look at it. So, full 15 games. There's actually 16 MLB games today. I believe the A's and Rangers are playing a doubleheader. So, um, as always, this is kind of a first look at our pitching options. I will look at DraftKings because that is where a majority of my action is. On FanDuel, we can narrow down our pitcher pool quite a bit. But let's dig in. At the top, we get Sonny Gray. He's been absolutely phenomenal this year for the Cardinals. Is one quote unquote rough start came against this Met squad, where he did allow a home run. Just one of the 4 runs were earned. He did strike out 9. Not always a huge K guy, but striking out 9, especially against this Met squad, uh, is pretty strong. He's a minus 170 favorite in this game. K prop of 5.5. Juice is slightly on the under, but still. 10.8K, hefty price tag. But based on how he has thrown this season, definitely worth it. Dylan Cease taking on a Cubs squad that pulled off the walk-off win last night. Has made just one really bad start and has been pretty solid uh, with the Padres. From my understanding, the wind is blowing in today. Um, the game total doesn't show that, but I've looked elsewhere. One of the first things I did look for was the Wrigley weather. Game total is at 8.5 right now, but I expect that to come down. Um, K prop is 7.5. Juice on the under, but still, I think Cease is a phenomenal GPP option for us today. So because I'm going with these guys, and there's some guys down here that I like, I'm actually going to end up fading Nola today. Uh, could come back to bite me 100%. I am very aware and very ready for that to be the case. Um, my thinking is I just don't see him putting up a game that we miss out on, and I think I can match him or beat him with some other guys. K prop of just 5.5 with juice on the under. Uh, he is a favorite, minus 162 favorite. Game total of 8.5 right now. Uh, Toronto has struggled, but I did happen to notice last night before I went to bed. Uh, Toronto does have some BVP against Nola, and I think that's just enough for me to feel like they might be able to get him for 3 or 4 runs in this game. So I am going to end up on the fading Nola train. Uh, I realize I could be jumping off a proverbial bridge here, but it is what it is. We're going to head to Brady Singer here against the Brewers team that I've generally been picking on. He's a minus 130 favorite. K upside's there. Game total is 8.5. That's a little worrisome. Juice on the over. K prop of 5.5, but juice on the under. Uh, man, I think there's plenty of upside for Singer, so Singer's going to be in my pool. Definitely like him more than Nola at this point. Tanner Bybee, uh, coming off a really rough start where we were all on him, I would assume. Um, Now he's taking on a Detroit squad. It's not overly difficult, but we look at Bybee's home numbers this year, they are really rough. Um, that is a worry. I did look at him before I started this video, and he has been hit around by left-handed bats. It kind of lines up with Riley Green and his hot run recently. I'm going to be using Bybee as a GPP guy, um, but I'm hoping the field doesn't want to go too heavy on him, because I generally like to be overweight on all the guys in my pitcher pool. But if the field wants to be heavier on Bybee, I might have to cut back a little bit. Lorenzen, going to make my pool, but I don't feel great about it. K prop are just 5.5 with juice on the under. Um, he is a minus 130 favorite. Game total is just 7.5. Those K numbers just aren't there. Uh, he certainly has plenty of ability. Obviously, he threw a no hitter last year with the Phillies, so we do know that the upside's there. He's just not an attractive name to click on into our lineups. Reese Olson, uh, another guy I kind of looked into splits right beforehand, um, has absolutely dominated left-handed bats this year, which is really something to look into. Curious to see, what Cleveland's lineup does because they're generally a pretty platoon split heavy team for the most part. Uh, I like the upside that Olson offers. Hasn't been the sharpest on the road this season, and Cleveland doesn't traditionally strike out all that much. Game total of 8, juice on the under. Uh, Olson's K prop is sitting at 4.5 with juice on the over. So I like Olson for GPP purposes, especially if that Cleveland lineup comes out with 6 or 7 left-handed bats. I just like the way that he's thrown the ball against left-handed hitters this season. Gavin Stone going to be the chalk or one of the chalkiest pitchers on the slate. Is yet to bypass 20 fantasy points in an appearance. Um, could have been past that if he would have got the win against Atlanta. Taking on a Miami squad that we're definitely picking on with pitchers. Uh, Not a huge K guy. I mean, not going to blow anybody away with the K numbers. K prop is just 4.5. But he is a. Uh, I can't even find the game right now. I'm sure he's a massive favorite. For some reason, I have the DK odds. There we go. Minus 278. So, obviously, massive favorite. Weak matchup. Solid price tag. He's going to be the chalkiest pitcher on this slate. Martin Press going to make my pool for sure. Not super exciting by any means, but uh, the Angels are going to be a team that we pick on, occasionally. Uh, he is a minus 135 favorite. I'm sure his K prop isn't super exciting. Looks like it's at 4.5 with juice on the under. Just a steady option. And I guess technically a pivot from the chalky Gavin Stone if you think that maybe Miami can score a few runs against him. Uh, Two other games down here that I'm considering. I'm probably going to end up playing one of the two. It's most likely going to be Hayden Wesneski, coming off of a pretty strong performance. He's thrown the ball extremely well this season. Like I mentioned, under cease the wind blowing in, so I'm definitely intrigued there. Um, I think San Diego's offense is a little dangerous, but he's coming off of a massive performance that if he could have picked up the W as well, would have went up for over 31 fantasy points. That's really intriguing on the slate, and that's probably why I'm not going to use Joe Ross. Joe Ross has been solid. A couple bad starts, but then solid around it. I just don't think he can match the upside of Wisniewski on the slate, so that's kind of why I'm going to lean there. Going to jump over to the 7-game main slate this evening. Try to hammer this one out quickly. This one I have not looked at anything at all leading up to it. So for sure, Chris Sale taking on Boston. I think he's one of those guys that really loves revenge. Even though I'm not sure you can call it revenge considering he was traded to Atlanta. But I think there's plenty of upside for Chris Sale in that spot. I don't think I really need to say much. K prop 7.5. George Kirby, upside, but his K numbers are all over the place. Twins had been hot. Um, K prop is 6.5. Plenty of upside, so for sure. Savali, uh, number of rough starts in a row now after his hot start to the season. Might have to dig into some of his underlying numbers to see. K prop of 5.5 uh, is a minus 238 favorite, but again, he hasn't looked good the last few. I'm sure he's just going to carry ownership based on his opponent only. Nick Pivetta wasn't sharp in his rehab start. Been gone for a little over a month. Has plenty of upside, but while Atlanta's had some big K games over the last couple weeks, they actually don't strike out a whole lot overall as a team. So I'm not sure that I want to risk Pavetta, even though he's one of those guys that I just like overall uh, from a season long standpoint. Mitchell Parker, not going to go there against the Orioles. He's had a couple impressive starts this season and hasn't been bad, but I'm just not going to pick on the Orioles. Bradish making his second start back, threw 84 pitches in his first one. Great sign. Should be pretty chalky at 8,400. Washington doesn't strike out a whole lot, but uh, I'm still interested. K prop of 4.5 juice on the over. He is a minus 175 favorite in this game. So Bradish at that price point seems really interesting. Ashcraft has been solid this season. I just don't know that I want to pick on him or I want to use him against Arizona, especially in this ballpark. Um, he's been lit up so far this year in Great American Ballpark, so I'm not sure that we want to rely on him today. Carlos Rodon, he's interesting. I kind of want to dig in some more. Uh, was okay in his season debut against this Houston squad. The big thing for me is Houston doesn't strike out a ton. Um, and despite their overall team struggles, the Houston offense has been fine this season. So I'm not sure that I want to get to Carlos Rodon. He is a minus 148 favorite, but game total of 9, K prop of just 5.5 with juice on the under. So I don't think I'm going to end up with any Rodon, but maybe I have to make my pool work. Don't think I'm going to get to Jordan Montgomery. Uh, Especially because Jordan Hicks is right here. I know he's pitching in Coors, but I was all over Harrison last night. I think Hicks can get it done in Coors coming off of a rougher start, but this Colorado team is just so weak. So I am interested in Hicks. K prop is just 3.5 with juice on the over. His K numbers have been all over the place. It's kind of shocking for a guy that throws so hard and such strong K ability out of bullpen. It's a minus 170 favorite, and the game actually has one of the lowest totals I've ever seen in Coors at 10. Usually I think it's 10.5 to 12.5. We get it at 10 today, so that is interesting to me. Chris Paddock, uh, strong in 2 out of his last 3 starts. Seattle does strike out plenty. He's a slight underdog. Game total is 7.5 with juice on the under. K prop of 5.5 juice on the over. So I think Paddock certainly a strong GPP option for us, um, just because there is K upside. Chris Flexen might be an option. I don't feel great about it. I'm gonna have to look into it more. K prop is just 3.5, and he is a pretty strong underdog, but he's thrown the ball decent the last couple. And as you know, I've been picking on Tampa Bay's offense with pitchers just because I don't feel like they're all that strong. So there we have it. There's kind of the first look at 15 games today. If you enjoy what I bring to you, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on, get the alert anytime we drop videos here at DFS Army. If you want to get access to our coaches, tools, sheets, Discord, etc., I'll put links in the description below. You can use promo code RAZ, that's RAZ, for 10% off monthly. And as always, best of luck, everybody.